Just saying there's not one version of sexiness, and there's been for a long time this idea that this is what you have to be sexy, and I completely disagree.
Today's guest is the Queen of Heels, Steph Martis, who holds weekly open classes at Pineapple Studios and London's newest studio, The Manor. Steph is also one of the associate choreographers of Royal Caribbean and has worked at many of the UK's top dance institutes. Please welcome the Queen of Heels, Steph Martis. Steph Martis, it's so lovely to have you here at Intimacy 360. How's your day been so far?
Good. Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. Okay, so you're like the Queen of Heels. I see you as the Queen of Heels. Like you've really honed such an incredible career and working obviously within education, choreographing and teaching, and your heel classes are legendary.
Thank you.
And they are always very busy. You work all, like I said in my intro, you work all over the place, and your classes are very popular. I'd love to know how you infuse elements of sensuality and intimacy into your choreography.
Okay, so I think our previous idea of being sexy, was
I love the way you went being sexy. Isn't it funny because we do the word sexy? Yeah.
Like it was just. It's all perspective, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's one person's perception of sexiness doesn't match another's. But what I find is, especially for our younger generations, they have this idea that sexiness is one thing, that it's like all in your face. It's it's quite grotesque sometimes.
Can be, yes.
I don't see it like that at all.
Yes.
I think subtlety is everything.
Thank you.
I think, and there's nothing wrong with that.
It plays a part. Sex sells, and it can be great for a particular type of show and all of that.
Yeah, you can wear a thong, grind on the floor. That's great. That has its place.
For the music videos and whatever it may be. And
there's nothing wrong with that. I'm all for female empowerment, all of that. But I'm just saying there's not one version of sexiness. And there's been for a long time this idea that this is what you have to be sexy. And I completely disagree. I think a woman can walk into a room like turtleneck down to the leg, down to the ankle in black, hair scraped back, and be just as powerful and sensual as someone that's got it all on show.
So true.
And my choreography is very that. It's almost just on the surface, and you're inviting that audience in and captivating them to want more.
I love that, inviting the audience in and captivating them to want more.
Yeah.
Leaving a little bit up to their own imagination.
Yeah, exactly.
Because 9 times out of 10, that's where the magic happens, in the actual person who's watching's own imagination.
Yeah, subtlety is everything. And I say that over and over again in my classes. I'm like, don't give it all away in the first 8 counts. Like you want
have
to
a build.
Yeah, it's
light
a conversation between you and the audience. And it's just, I think it is more powerful to grab someone's attention, giving like a gorgeous Fosse line and being still for a moment, than giving it, grinding in your face.
Absolutely.
But that's just my perception.
And you're do you find yourself quite influenced by Bob Fosse's work?
Oh my God, yeah. And that's the thing, for someone that was such a character, and I mean, everyone knows how badly he treated women.
Yes.
And
it was quite misogynist, to say the least.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
Egotistical, the whole lot.
Yes.
Like, probably a narcissist.
Yes.
But the way that he choreographed on women.
For a straight white man.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't all about, tits and ass. He inverted the leg. He made things that are what people would stereotypically say are ugly.
Yes.
So beautiful.
The rolling of the shoulders.
Oh. And I say to people all the time, you can stand on stage and just roll your shoulder with the right amount of energy, and it is the most sensual thing in the world. It doesn't need to be like in your face all the time. And
also, I think with Bob Fosse's work, that moment of sensuality can also, using parts of the body that we don't usually like, just a finger.
Oh yeah.
Just a finger.
Yeah.
I mean, how often do we see our digits, our fingers, standing alone, seen as sensual?
Yeah.
And he made that iconic.
Yeah.
So there's about taking, and like you said, I love for me, the beauty, sometimes I find the most beautiful intimacy and beautiful moments in the um untraditional sense of what beauty is.
Yes.
I find the beauty in that a lot of the time.
Exactly. And it can be like even just a look or throwing a glance in someone's direction. It's all of that creates intimacy and passion and that sort of angst on stage. It doesn't need to be writhing around on top of each other.
Absolutely. And how do you feel like this, the choreography that you bring into your class, helps build confidence and helps young women to express themselves? Do you feel that really helps them?
Yeah, I think because I'm very open in my classes because it is all, you know, professionals that come to like my open
And
classes.
is it all women, or do you get mixed? Do you
Do you
get
know, I do
non-binary?
get
Do you get guys in
yeah,
heels?
I
Do you
have a lot of non-binary dancers. It is majority women.
Yeah.
But I do have non-binary dancers. I do have some men,
Yeah.
and I do think it's great when the male identifying dancers come because they can hear things from a female perspective.
Absolutely. And also, we can list so many musicals that men need to wear heels in. La Cage de Folle,
Yeah,
Kinky Boots,
Priscilla.
you
Yeah.
know, all of these shows, you know, and also for a choreographer, obviously I've choreographed for decades and decades and decades. And I've had heels on many, many times because I will be honest, when I first started choreographing partner work, I'd never put I'd been in heels, but I think when I'd done drag back in the day, but I'd never,
that? I
never.
didn't know you did drag.
Oh, you know, I actually, well, this is it. I actually worked when I was actually, this is talking 30 odd years ago, when I was at college at Bird studying, on a Saturday, I actually worked in a drag club. I had a cabaret show.
Well,
Yeah.
you kept this very quiet.
Every Saturday night for 3 years whilst
want
I was at
pictures.
Bird. So, and then when I did it, it was my job. So money, I good better money than that than working bar. You know what I mean? When I was
100%.
studying as a dancer, so I had my own
love
cabaret
that.
show. So I had heels on then. So I'd done element of dance in heels, but not really like step, kick, turn, you know, axle turns and stuff in
It is
heels.
a
Whole different ball game.
dynamic.
So when I first started choreographing, actually in education, I did bring my heels in because I was like, I realised I was going, try this, and I go, oh my God, that's too much.
Yeah, like why is that not working?
Yeah.
And I applaud you for that. And there's other male choreographers that have done the same. I nearly name dropped there. But it was fabulous. I don't think you would mind. But one of the classes I used to take in Pineapple when I first moved to London, the choreographer bought a pair of Leduca boots and stuck them on to understand us better, and I applaud that because I have been
You can name that person because they're getting applause. Go for
Ashley
it.
Nottingham.
Yay!
We love a
He's
bit of
fabulous.
that.
He's
God,
fabulous. He's
yeah,
fabulous.
amazing.
But like you say, he brought in a pair of boots, chucked them on.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, expensive ones of that.
I know.
The cost of heels now.
I know.
That's a whole nother story.
That is a whole other story, but I think it's an investment in
Yeah.
yourself.
I mean, how much are your heels? Be honest, if you don't mind me saying.
320.
320.
Yeah. Ish.
They're so expensive now.
Yeah, and that is for the.
And you
for
always
the-
wear Leduc.
I do always wear Leducas.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Please, like, Leduc, where are you? Come on, can you please sponsor us? She's like literally wearing, she's putting out hundreds of videos all the time.
I mean,
Come
guys,
on.
I've got 5 pairs.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, like, exactly. That's like £1.5 worth of heels.
But I go through them like nothing else. And but I did it in my lesser quality shoes back
Everybody
in the
in
day.
their New Yorkers.
Yeah, my New
They're
Yorkers.
3.5 inch or 2.5 inch New Yorkers.
Yeah, trying to point your foot in a block of wood.
It's like that.
Yeah. But no, I do applaud. I've had so many male choreographers that will be like, so it's this. And I'm like, yeah, okay, babe, you do it.
Yeah, it's
Let me see you do it in a heel.
Yeah.
And there was just no appreciation for, we have to do everything a male identifying dancer does, but in a heel.
And usually backwards.
Mm.
And sometimes backwards.
And backwards, up, down, backwards.
Because when you're partnering, it's like
Yeah.
Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire. Like, you know, Fred Astaire said, you know, she has to do everything I do, but in heels and backwards.
In heels and backwards, yes. Exactly.
It's like...
And usually with a costume that's, you know, either too
Too long,
long
so
for
you're
what you're
literally,
doing, too
or
heavy.
the hem's hanging down, all these
Yeah,
things.
like, and it's so frustrating because I'm like, we are up against so much, and it's all about your weight placement, transfer of weight, all of that. You've got so many things that you're contending with, then you're being chucked around in the air.
Yeah, I always talk about when I go into educational places, when I'm going into lecture and as a intimacy practitioner, right? And I've just been teaching at many of the institutes this week. I talk about there has to be an intimacy arc, the same as we would at a ballet bar or jazz technique or wherever it may be. So at the beginning, we work on this amount of element, like looking at plays that have this amount of intimacy, or have So you don't start like your first classes with intimacy. Go, let's do simulated sex. So
Yeah, you have to build.
there's got to be aggression, but even when you're doing a dance class, I feel like there could be an element of a progression in your warm up that has an elephant build of the,
Touch and the
I
sensuality.
just thought
I
maybe.
love that. If you are female identifying, and even in some case, not just female
Yeah,
identifying, non-binary, even male identifying,
yeah,
depending on the
yeah,
show.
yeah.
But especially for us females, you're gonna be in a heel. If you want to go into musical theatre,
90% of your life.
like 99%,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
gonna be in a heel for
yeah,
everything. Why are you not putting them in their heels from
yeah.
day one?
Well, I always have. They would always know when I come in to teach, they'd have their heels
Yeah.
because I would also do warm up, but there'd be also sequences like on flat in warm up in the center, but then stuff traveling from the side.
Yeah.
I'm like, get your heels on.
And that's what I do with my intensives. We and all my classes at college as well.
Yeah.
From when they have me from day dot, they after the warm up, the heels are on, and we do everything: center work, corner work, choreography, because you need to know how to do jazz technique in your heels.
Absolutely.
Once you have that foundation, dancing in your heels is a scoosh.
Yeah.
But you need to know
Yeah.
what
Placement.
is happening with
Yeah.
your body. But just to go back to what you were saying about that progression, like what I do with the intensive, we start with walking,
There you go.
and then we'll go into a
But
kick,
your walking
then a
exercise
turn.
is quite essential anyway. The way,
Yeah,
because the rhythms of it and the slow and then the fast. I've watched your,
it's
they're
this,
beautiful.
the different types of walk, that like the slow through the feet walking, then more like a powerful stomp.
Yeah.
Then we go into running,
Yeah.
padded walks, all of that, and I think that it's just going back to the thing of that female empowerment and sensuality is subtlety
Yes.
for me, and being comfortable with your body, knowing your body. And that is one of the things that I say to a lot of my female class takers and students, is this isn't going to be something that you will just get in your teens and 20s.
Yes.
I'm the strongest dancer I've ever been, and I'm 38.
There you go.
It takes time to understand yourself as a person to get comfortable with the sensuality.
I couldn't agree with you more. And interesting enough, I have a huge problem when I've seen productions where they're doing Fosse and they're like 9 years old.
Oh, please don't. I can't. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like there's no need for it. They don't understand. They shouldn't understand at that age.
No.
And and even there's still elements, like I say, when you're studying professionally, where I go, okay, I would leave that to a little bit later on, or that there should be a progression with the intimacy. When you're working, obviously you do partner work and stuff like that as well. What do you do to ensure that like your people who are partnering each other have like a genuine connection of when they're working with maybe partner work and intimacy? And do you do any process of like checking in regarding physical touch and all of that at all?
When I am working with partnering, when I'm doing partnering, I think consent just is the biggest thing. Are you okay with me here? Are you comfortable? And that communication.
Well,
it sounds really simple, but
yeah, I think it is quite simple in the sense that if we have clear open communication and we are able to then create a environment where people feel safe. That's the half the battle. It's creating an environment where people feel safe to go, okay, now we're going to pair you up. If you want to do a check-in with, can you do a check-in with each other? And we're about teaching people how to check in with each other and doing like, are you doing a body map system? Going, okay, so it might be a traffic light system. Some people might go, okay, my genitals are red and my breasts are red, meaning they're two areas I don't want you to touch.
Yeah.
You know, and also I think this is another thing when I'm working with partner work, it's understanding that for us to execute this piece of choreography safely, my hand needs to go here. So if I'm doing a pressage with somebody, or my hand's got to go a particular place, it's only that way that I can execute safely. So if somebody's not comfortable with being touched there, that's fine, but then we can't necessarily do that lift. Some of this can be altered, and we can place the hands somewhere else, or the part of the body somewhere else, and we can still get the same image, but some lifts can't.
Yeah. And I think it's up to us as choreographers to create that safe atmosphere
Absolutely.
and that environment, and to
consent forward thinking
Yeah.
learners, so they can go, okay, yeah, I'm just going to check in with my partner. We want to get to a place where people just naturally go, okay, we're partnering now. Okay, we're just about to do this, and they check in. You know, we want to sort of because you don't want it to become. We don't have hundreds of amount of time. We know the reality. You're
It's
in
a
a
quick
class.
turnaround.
You need to be able to, you know, establish clear open communication, consent, and boundaries without it becoming a full 3-act play and making a big, because we don't have time for that.
Yeah.
But they have to be clear and clear and concise, so we don't just wash over it. But we do. We don't have time for masses of checking. When you know you're going in, you've got an hour class, and if somebody's going to take 20 minutes of all check-ins and all that, you don't. You lose half your class. So it's about, I think, fostering an environment where our learners get used to checking in, and also checking in all the time, because I partnered you last week. When we come in to partner each other again the following week, my boundaries, your boundaries could have changed, because we might be doing something really close and central, but do you know what? I've actually got a big cold sore on my lip this week, or somebody may have injured themselves the week before, or somebody may have an ailment, that something's going on with their body. They're like, I don't want you to lift me here because I'm sore.
Yeah.
All these things, it's just having these conversations.
Yeah, and I think it's normalizing that in classes, that it's okay to talk to your partner and have conversations. It's okay to say, look, this really hurts, or this makes me feel uncomfortable. Can we not do that?
Yeah. Is there another way we can execute the same lift, or without actually doing that? And the choreographer, a lot of the time, the choreographer, you're creating a piece. I have this conversation with choreographers a lot that go, okay, they want this lift here and that lift there, and they want this picture. And then one person over this side goes, oh, but I don't want to be touched here. Maybe a lift touching somewhere like a pressage, somewhere very intimate, you know, because you're cupping an eye on the genitals, you know, when you're doing some of this, you know. And you may have a person who says, oh no, I don't want that to happen. And the choreographer's like, oh no, now you've ruined the look, thinking I've got symmetry, and like, but you know what? I always think when these things happen, right, and it makes choreographers think, okay, I've got to think out of the box now, and my idea what I was going to do is going to change. Sometimes what you come up with is much better, because you naturally pull on all your normal tricks.
Yeah.
And then so you go, hang on, I can't do that, I need to think out of the box. And then you end up with something much more interesting, much more fun, and at the end of the day, we're creative souls, and we should be able to navigate those barriers.
Yeah, that's our job.
Exactly.
That's our job.
And because they come in many other shapes and forms. You end up choreographing. How many times have you choreographed something you've got on stage, and there's a piece of set that is like, where did that come from?
Or a headpiece that's like this size,
10
and
times
you're
too
like,
big.
oh,
Exactly.
Well,
or the
no
costume that's trailing, and you go, oh, I was told the pictures I got sent, the dresses stopped here. Oh yeah, they're the wrong dresses. They're from the previous. And you're like, you know,
great.
And you go, you've choreographed all this stuff. So we always end up with these things that make us go, okay, I now need to think and change, and I need to pivot, and that's half the fun. Sometimes it can be very annoying.
It can be quite stressful.
Just a little bit.
But I think it's good that we've progressed to that stage, because I remember people wouldn't give a flying whatever.
Oh, people would go,
do it. I don't care if you're not comfortable.
Absolutely.
Or I don't care if you're sore. Like, I don't care. This is what it is.
I remember, I can not tell you the amount of times in my career I've been given second-hand used jocks to wear.
Oh, no. See, I hate given shoes that other people have worn. Like, that grosses me out, and that's
That
still
that's standard still.
and that's still standard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
you should be given
You
your
get-
own shoes,
Yeah.
but you're not given your own
Jock.
jock.
Yeah. I mean, shoes, when you go into a show, sometimes one character might have 13 pairs of shoes, 10 pairs of different shoes, and each pair's like costing £500-600, 300 because they're made for that character.
Yeah.
So, but they do generally now put clean new insoles in, stuff like
Yeah.
they clean
Look
them and stuff
after
like
them
that. They much
properly.
more than they used to. But I can tell you on numerous occasions that I've been given a used jock that has been washed and it's got somebody's previous name in it, or even worse, somebody's previous name crossed out and there's somebody else's name crossed out. And I'm like, no. I draw the line. This is where my own boundaries go. That's not happening.
And that's what we've done now. We've created boundaries within the industry that weren't there before, which I think is fantastic. But I think a lot of that also comes from that clear line of communication. And now us being able to say as dancers, I'm not okay with that. I mean, I did a job in Blackpool, and the first year that I did it, I had just come off of a contract, and I was teeny tiny, but I just worked solidly for 6 months in Morocco.
Yeah.
And I came back and fitted these costumes. These are the costumes. They were thousands and thousands of pounds, ostrich feathers,
Yes.
Swarovski crystals. They're not modifying them for anyone. The following year I got offered the job again, but I wasn't the same size as I had been because I hadn't been in a contract. I went to my fitting. Well, yeah, you've got 3 weeks to make them fit. And I was like, wow, okay. And I did make them fit.
But that's not healthy.
And it's not healthy.
No.
And thank goodness we have evolved past that. But that's what I mean. Like, it has been copy and paste for so long, and it's so fabulous that now we are with a new generation that can speak up for themselves, can be comfortable with having an open line of communication and conversation.
Last question. If you had to give any advice to any young and up and coming choreographer, any up and coming choreographer, if you had to give them any advice on how to advocate for themselves, how to get the best out of themselves when working with young learners, what would your advice be?
Oh, that's a hard one. My advice would be trust yourself. Know when you need to listen to other people around you. Take on the advice of others, but also don't give yourself too hard a time. I'm a massive overthinker. I overthink everything, and I will say something with the best of intention and then go home and go, oh my God, I shouldn't have said that. What if they think I meant this when I meant this? And I rip myself apart. Sometimes you have to have confidence in yourself and belief in yourself as a creative, as a professional, and absolutely take on the advice of others that have maybe done the job before, been around a bit longer. I was recently on a job for a cruise ship company, and we were in a meeting, production meeting, and I had said my terminology that I used about the music was wrong. I said, we were talking about adding in something to lift the music. And I said, because it can be it will sound a bit flat.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I was associate choreographer, and my choreographer was like, be aware of your language, because to a musician, that's so insulting. He said, I know what you meant.
Yes.
You meant it needed a lift, and that's what we were saying, but by you saying flat, it makes you sound like you've said, oh, the music's just a bit flat. As if someone came in and went, oh, the choreography is a bit flat. There's no energy.
And you're like, oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
So then you beat yourself up about it.
Yeah, but instead of me going on the defensive and going, well, that's not what I meant. I was like, and the people I was working with know me well enough to know I would never intentionally offend anyone. But I have the ability to look within myself and go, how can I be better? How can I take on that advice? And I think for young up and coming choreographers, you've got to be a sponge. You've got to be okay with receiving all kinds of feedback, good and bad, and look at it as a positive thing, because then you can become better. You're never going to be at the top of your game. No one is, not in this industry. You're always growing, always learning, always evolving, and you have to allow yourself to take on the feedback that other people give you.
Steph, thank you so much for coming into Intimacy 360. It's been a joy. So good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mwah. Hey, lovely people. Make sure you subscribe and like and press that notification bell to keep up to date with all future episodes.